We left off over here in the Be'er Alocha, but we basically finished. No, it is Be'er Alocha. Yeah. Thank you. Concludes, the Be'er Alocha said that even the Rosh that permits a situation where you have Yisrael Omer al Gabov, a Yisrael a Jew instructing a Goy when he spins the thread, that's only if it's a very small amount of time. If it's an extended period of time, even the Rosh agrees it's not valid because the focus, the Goy does not keep that focus. He explains at the end, he concludes that therefore in a factory where they actually spin yarn, spin thread, everybody agrees, and you have non-Jews running the loom, operating the loom. Even if you have a Jew instruct them continuously, it's not valid. Even the Rosh would agree. We're holding. Yeah. We're holding in the Mechaber on page 39. Utzrichen Shzira. In addition to that, it has to be spun for the sake of tzitzis. It has to be twisted. When you have the multiplied thread, it has to be twisted for the sake of tzitzis. That's shzira. Ushiu shzurin lishman. Mishna Berura. What is shzira? Hainu sheyichbaleim achatviyo l'shnaim v'yishuzreim. Meaning you fold over the thread, you double it, and then you twist it. So that now it's a two-ply thread. What happens if he folded it, that it's an 8-ply thread? Zora gamkein, less lenbo. V'tam zero. Where does it even allude that it has to be twisted? Maybe why is a single-ply thread not sufficient for tzitzis? It has to be minimally a multi-ply thread.
It has to be 8.
No, 8 is that's called hidur. Even if it's less it's valid. It has to be a multiplied thread. We'll see.
You say at least 3.
Seemingly two-ply thread. Maybe 3. Right? We'll see.
The thread that we're using for our talis today is 8.
It's 8. It's 8. It says in the parshas that you should make for them tzitzis. Shomei ani yasa tzitzis k'moshu. It says you should put on the tzitzis on the corner psil tchelis. What does the word psil mean? It means psil is like a wick. Psil in a, what is a wick? A wick is multiplied. It's right. You take something, you twist it between your fingers. But tovi vishozer pirush gain mishkan avishozer. Inamik stam psilo hishtura. Either it's like the Mishkan, or because a psilo, being a wick, is normally twisted. Eli el tchelis, loving minayin. How do we know even the white strings have to be twisted? It says the psil tchelis. The tchelis is psil. What about the white strings that are not dyed with tchelis? How do we know they have to be twisted? Amrit, they're not intertwined. They're not each thread. You have some of the strings are dyed blue or whatever the color is, and the others remain white.
So each string is supposed to be multi...
No, not each string. You have within the tzitzis that you tie together, some are dyed, some are not dyed. So it says psil tchelis. Also tzitzis psil tchelis. So it says the psil should be tchelis. What is the meaning of psil? Psil is the wick. A wick is what? Is multiplied. So now, so the sifriya, so how do we know the white string, which is not tchelis, how do we know it has to be multiplied? That's the question of the sifri. Tein tchelis, tein lovon. Ma tchelis tovoi v'shozer, af lovon tov v'shozer, I'm Be'er Alocha. Okay, exactly how it's learned from the psukim. Lishmon, the mitvio ve'elech hu'akol b'chlal asiyah. From spinning the thread, from that point onward, Going forward, everything has to be done lishma, meaning when you put the string into the corner, when you tie the knot, right? So, but it starts with the spinning of the thread, twisting of the threads, and then inserting them, tying them, and whatever follows. The kaimilon the tzorch lishma kosmog avrom after b'david miakev im lo yishzur lishmon. It was spun lishma, but it was not twisted lishma. It's ma'akev, it's not valid. Chemash b'yiragro v'yish mekilim b'david. To those who are lenient, if you have no other choice, if already bilti shiro, I bear alocha shbiaru de lismach haseh. Bear alocha, sometimes he explains this opinion should definitely not be relied upon. Achan shiro hoyisa stomo. What about if he didn't have in mind? Well, we speak he stomo lishma. The question is, what is the neutral mindset of a person, a Jew? He had it spun with, for the sake of tzitzis. Now he took those threads and he twisted them. What would you say? You'd say that even though he didn't consciously think of it, since his mindset is to use it for tzitzis, even though he didn't think specifically, I'm doing it for tzitzis, the neutral mindset is the equivalent of that. Since initially the threads were spun for tzitzis, the probability is, the mindset is that he wants the twisting should be for the same purpose, even though he didn't consciously think about it.
What would you say if the Jew did the potatoes strings? If the non-Jew did the white strings?
Not good. It's not real. Not good. It's not good. Well, it depends. I mean, according to Russia, it's valid, but that's only if it takes a small amount of time. If it's an extended period of time, everybody agrees it's not valid.
The rest of the strings have to be white. I mean, it's the same, but could it be dyed a different color?
Dyed a different color. But it's called lovan because any other color has no value. That's why it's called lovan. It's tchelis and lovan. I mean, why should you want to dye anything else?
Because it fits with different color.
No, you dyed blue. No, it has to be a distinction between tchelis and the other strings.
Right. So you can make it yellow, be red.
Correct.
Rabbi, what about the process for twisting?
That's the
The
spinning.
harvesting.
I mean, the shearing of the wool.
shearing,
It's fine, not a problem. You could shear the wool for whatever it is, for a sweater. Anybody could shear, right? It's only from it's because tzitzis has to do with the thread. Oslchem tzitzis, that's the thread. Okay. Im nisparkum shisiroson, v'nasa shisha osor. Okay, he's speaking about it's an 8-ply thread. It started to come apart. Now you have 16 strings. Okay, sharing. Which means it came totally apart. Now, how much has to be left of the string to be considered? Because you need psil. Tzitzis, it has to be similar to a wick. So, how much of the string has to be left to be considered psil? That the amount that remains multiplied, that you're able to make like a slip knot. For instance, we'll see later what happens if the tzitzis are actually torn. Initially, we'll see later the tzitzis from where attached to the garment till the end of the string has to be 13 gudlin, has to be 13 inches. A godel is the width of the thumb joint. Yeah, it has to be 13. If it's less, it's not valid. When you originally put the tzitzis, that has to be the length of the tzitzis. What? Not below that. Including from where it attaches to that until the end of the strings. No, we'll see. It's 13. What happens now? The strings somehow get torn, and from the last knot, the string extends itself a very short string. So the halacha is if the length of the string is long enough that you can make like a slip knot, it's still valid. That's still called a string. But if it's so short you can't even make a slip knot with the string, it's possible. It's possible. So he's saying similarly here, that you need shazur, it has to be twisted, it has to be a multiplied thread, because it has to be psil. So how much psil has to be left? Initially, how much psil do you have to have? The equivalent of 13 inches, right? But once you apply it, and it is that, now it gets unraveled. So how much psil do you have to have left? It's similar, how much string do you have to have left? If the string gets totally cut off, how much of that little string has to be left? Enough to make the slip knot. So similarly, What's a string? A string if it's twisted. Sabbath string has to be left. Again, it's the aniva that should be able to make the slip knot. Same idea. Let's see the Mishna Berura Gimel. Nasa shishos pirush nispare kol hashmona chutim legusa duration nokte avol huadin im nispare shnei chutim v'nasa arbo gambi inishi shtar kedei aniva dilaf hochi posel. It's interesting. We'll see like if you ever made tzitzis, you know, really you have 4 long strings, and when you put it through, you double them, so it becomes 8. You know, they used to say as a joke, how do you double your money? You just take the money, fold it in half, you double your money, okay? So when we speak about 8 strings are really 4 strings, right? 4 long strings, you put it through the corner, and then you measure them, they should be equal, and then you make the knot. So really, so how many strings do you have to have in the tzitzis? 4. Now, what happens now, 4 of them, and when you make it, you're very careful that the 4 that are on one side are the 4 a part of the original 4 on the other side. No. It's the same string. Because sometimes if they cross over, you end up having the same string on the same side of the knot. But let's be careful when you make it. And always the 4 on one side are always the other half of the string. And now all 4 of them tear off. All 4. At the knot. The halacha we'll see later, it's kosher. Because you still have 4 strings left. When we speak about that you have to have kedei aniva, that's only if there's a question, if let's say both sides, the same string, both sides tore off. So that's the case. It's only because you have the string left if you're able to make a slip knot. But let's say you have the string on the other side, even kedei aniva, the whole string doesn't have to be intact. One side it's only long enough to make a slip knot. The other side totally torn off. And it's clear, the halacha is valid. Of course, this is not b'diavad. Okay, so he says over here, the same thing. Let's say it would unravel. And it will unravel all the way down to the knot. 2 strings. 2 of the strings, and it's the same string. So comes if that's the case, you only have 3 strings in the tzitzis. It's as if the whole string was torn off, the same idea. Because the string is only valid if it's a multiplied string. Once the twist is undone, is unraveled, it's not considered, it's not called psil. Psil is you have to have 4 strings which are twisted. Here you only have 3. So therefore it's not valid. The tzitzis.
So Rabbi, just practically, take a short salad talis. You want to check before you put it on Shabbos morning, let's say, is it kosher? And they often have strings shorn off because of the usage.
The question is to what degree are they?
And so that's the question, like you have a little piece sticking out, and there might be just 1 torn off. I think that's okay according to this.
100% that would be
You don't
okay.
even have to worry.
But if you have 2 torn off, it's a question, whoever made those tzitzis, if he wasn't careful, and always keeping the sides on each side, then it's a question you may be missing a whole string. If one is missing, no. If you have 2, I wouldn't use the talis.
So even though you have 6 strings hanging
Correct.
out there,
Because the 2 that are missing may be the same string which are missing. Unless the piece that extends is large enough that you can make the slip knot.
and if you have a little piece sticking out, even
It has no value. So you're missing a whole string.
It might be the same string.
It may be the same
You
string.
only have 3.
Correct. That's why it's a problem.
4.
And it's very difficult. When they make it so quickly, it's very difficult to always make sure that the same string, half the string is on one side and the other half is on the other side.
So I thought we said you just need 2.
No, you need 4.
4.
You need 4.
4 strings.
4 strings. So even if half is torn off, you have the other half of the string. But it may be the same string because the same string is on one side of the knot.
In which case you have a tiny little string. In other words, if you have 2 that are shorn off on the one side, we're saying it may be the same string.
And if it's not long enough that you can make the slip knot, that little bit that extends has no value. It's not
But
considered
there is a
string.
knot there, even
The
though
knot is not valid, but you need psil. You need the equivalent of a wick that extends.
Okay, that's right.
And that
So
you
2
don't have.
2 is a problem.
2 is a problem.
It's a shy. It's a soft.
It will be a Safik Doraisa.
Safek Doraisa, yeah.
You see what he says. Davi kamo shechosu shnei chutim b'tzitzios. If the posel im lo diktek b'shas asiyo, he makes this point. Unless when he made the tzitzis, he was careful. B'shas asiyo sheyeh lo'olam arbo roshim mitzad echod kid l'kam reish simin yud, as it says later. Unless you were careful when you made the tzitzis, that the string on one side of the knot is the other the half of the other string. But if you weren't careful, it may be the same string. So when it unravels down to the knot, or down to the point where you can't make the slip knot any longer, it's the equivalent of missing the string. The string is not there.
And if you took a talus with one string shorn off, short talus,
100% kosher.
The only thing you'd be missing is hiddur, I presume.
Correct. Keter.
And
It's fine.
you wouldn't-
It's fine.
you wouldn't
Say a
worry
bracha,
about
not a problem. It's permitted to say a bracha.
You wouldn't say, well, look, let me see if I can find another one that's complete.
Maybe it's better. Why not? You can do a
I think
mitzvah.
that's why not? Because then you have hiddur. isn't it?
Correct. And it's not a question of boreh,
No.
right? Because on Shabbos it's a question of boreh. Because it's all the same. It's the same species. Boreh is only if you're separating, processing different species.
But this is, it doesn't sound like boiled because there are a whole stack of them. So you just
No,
take the
no,
next
no.
one off the top.
They're all kosher. They're all kosher. See, if some are kosher and some are not kosher, that's different species. They're all kosher. It degrades. See, the Mechaber rules on Shabbos, you have different types of fish. Some are cooked, some are baked, some are this. So that's not, if it's broiled or cooked, that's called two different species. But let's say you have larger pieces, smaller pieces, right? That's called the same species. A piece that's more dried, less dry, that's the same species. That's not boreh. So if they're all kosher, just more heater or less heater, that's the same. That's the same species.
Start off with the custom. Then it's stacking on up.
You know what they are. People, they stack talis, they stack many things. They may not be kosher.
That's what I'm saying. So it's good enough.
The reason I react with boiled is you've got a stack here. So if I take the top one, I check it, and then I take the next one on the top. That doesn't sound like boiled to me. It's if I'm sort of open and I'm shuffling and
No.
that sounds like
No,
boreh.
it's boreh. It's boreh. I'll give you an
You
example.
know, you take it one
I'll
off
give
the
you an
top.
example, a regular example every Shabbos, okay? Today, they have many innovations, and because of that, one doesn't get involved with boreh. The halacha is, you have a refrigerator, and you look, and you want to take something out of the refrigerator, and it's beyond the beginning of the shelf, beginning of the shelf, so you have to take out certain items to get there. So the halacha is, if you know exactly where it's located, you're permitted to remove, even though what you're removing you have no interest in. That would be like peeling an orange. No, the fruit is there. What about if you're looking and you're fishing where it is? That's processing. Right? You don't know exactly where it is. You're doing the process to come to find what you need. Right? So therefore, I'm saying, and this happens, years ago, there was always a question, people used to go to a Shalom Zacha Friday night. So when they came to a Shalom Zacha Friday night, this is before they had, a housekeeper, and you had a coat rack where everybody hung up their coats. There was usually a room the lights were out. Everybody would put their coat on the pile one on there, then you go back, look for your coat. You had to stop peeling off coats to look for your coat till you found it. It's boreh. Because you don't know exactly where your coat is until you come, so you're processing, you're sifting through whatever it is to find your coat. That's boreh over there. Okay? And it's cited exclusively halacha. So I'm saying today you pull out drawers like in a pantry. Makes it easy, because when you pull it out, you immediately see everything before you, you take what you want. But if sometimes you have to start removing what's in front to get to the back, and you don't know exactly where it is, then you're always getting involved in the situation of boreh.
It still doesn't sound the same to me. Like if I've got a talus, I just take the top one.
Top one's not a problem.
And then...
And the presumption is that it's kosher.
Yeah, and it turns out to be possible.
And then
So I
you
take
keep
the
going.
next- I take the next top
No,
one.
but then you're ready.
Because
Now,
I'm not shuffling in.
no, it doesn't make
between.
it. But now you're fishing. You're doing a process to come upon which one is kosher. If they're all kosher, more or less,
But that's a presumption, that they're all
well,
kosher.
but you're finding out that it's not simple. It's not as simple. If the presumption of all kosher is not a problem, but you
what
could
it is.
start. No, you could start. But when you start realizing it's not so simple, they're kosher. So now you're looking for the one that's really kosher.
But I'm doing it from the top down.
Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Because now you're looking. You're looking for that kosher one. When you doesn't make it. You took it. Now you realize it's
I mean,
puzzle.
it's different from moving
When you
things
started,
out.
it's not a problem.
I can't use it.
No way. When you started, it's not a problem because it had a cheskes kashrus. The presumption was kosher. Now you realize the presumption is not so simple. That this pile has many talesim which may not be kosher.
But it sounds different from the fishing in the fridge, because there I'm actually moving things away that I don't want. Here I'm not moving anything, I'm just taking the top off.
Also, you don't know. Maybe after the first item you remove, maybe you'll find it.
Yeah, but I'm not taking anything
What
that
do
I
you mean?
don't need.
The-
The first item I move, I know this is definitely not what I'm wanting.
I don't. So
Look
same
at-
thing. You peel off the top towels. You realize it's not kosher. This one I don't want. So what are you looking for? You're looking for the kosher one. So when you remove the first one, I don't want that item. I don't want it. But maybe what's behind it, that is what I'm looking for. Right? And as you go, you're looking to come upon what you're looking for. Same thing, as you're peeling off the various levels, this is not what I want because it's not kosher. I'm looking for the one that I'm looking
I
for.
still see a difference, because when I'm doing the fridge, the first item I move, I know for sure I don't want this one.
So then it's definitely a problem.
That's a definite.
And you don't know the one that you look, you don't even know where it is.
Right, but I take something away, and I know I don't want it.
So that's a problem.
And I'm hoping that the right
Wait,
one
wait,
is
so- but
behind
that's
it.
a pro-
That's a problem, I agree. But with the talis, I'm taking the top one off. I'm hoping that this
Wait,
is the one.
wait. I said the first one you take off is not a question of boreh.
Now the second.
Because the first one you had a right to rely on chazaka.
Now the
But let's,
second one.
I'm just saying that. Wait, 1 second. The second one, so wait, you're right. The first one I take off has a chazaka, not a problem. If the second one has a chazaka, also not a problem.
Right, it should.
But once it repeats itself too often, you realize that there's a breach of chazaka here. These are faulty talesim. So then already it's an expedition. You're looking to find the kosher one. Because it's not what originally you believed it to be.
It's all the same species.
No, but no, kosher and non-kosher are two species. It's like edible and inedible.
Another question.
You're right. Initially, it's not a problem. Even to go through, when you realize what you're dealing with, that many of them not kosher, then the chazaka is actually a faulty chazaka.
But if you still go from the top, you're saying, I need a kosher towel.
Doesn't make a
I'm taking
difference.
my first towel.
Doesn't make a difference to go from the top.
You could-
Doesn't make a difference to go from that. Still, it's solus min ochel. You have to remove something which is not essential to get to the essential. You're not permitted to do it. Even you work yourself top down. Doesn't make a difference. What's the halacha? It's cited. You have a stack of svarim or books, lavdim, books, svarim, and you're looking, and it's not you could see from the side. If you want to see from the side, you locate it. You could take off the top books. But you're looking for that sefer in the pile. Very often this has to do with putting away svarim on Shabbos in a shul. And you have to start separating the Chumash, the Siddur, they put everything back in the bookcase. It's in the Siddur Raisa. Mishna Berura says that if you have fruits, a mix of fruits on the table, bowl of fruit, and now when you want to put it back in the refrigerator, whatever they had, and you want to put the peaches with the peaches, the apples with the apples, and each one where it belongs, it's boreh. The Gemara says this has to do with silverware, right? You wash silverware, all the silver is mixed. Now you want to take the forks and the spoons and knives and you want to put them back in the drawer in their respective places to put them right where they belong. You're not permitted to do it. So the Gemara says, so what do? It's not speaking of silverware, it's speaking about vegetables, or fruits or vegetables. You take the bunch and you just drop it on the table. When you drop it, they separate naturally. Each one separates. And now, because each one is discernible from the other, now you can take each one individually and put it where it's supposed to go.
How about the silverware?
Wait, so same thing with silver, it's cited. That's the more it speaks about vegetables or fruits. You take the silverware, you drop it on the table. When you drop it, it naturally separates. So that each piece of silverware is distinct from the other. Then you can take them because they're no longer intermixed.
That's how you explain how we should choose the socks from the drawer. Take a big bunch, drop them on the floor. So you
Or
can
on your
see
bed, wherever you want to drop it.
And then you pick your one you want.
Exactly.
Rabbi, I never had a question regarding
Wow.
places.
No, it's not garbage.
Chop them on the floor.
You throw 'em at the rabbi. You think it's Simchas Torah, okay.
Another question regarding